Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm back with this multi-function kitchen slicer. I saw this one advertising online. I want to check it out for myself. So let's see how it works in today's video. Before I get started, I want to thank today's sponsor, which is nobody. I don't take sponsors, but let's get right to it now. But here's the unit itself. It looks like a regular mandolin slicer, but it comes with attachments that can be removed. So you have multiple attachments here. They say it's 6-in-1 on Amazon, but to me it's more of like a 4-in-1. It's really a slicer with 4 attachments. It also has a brush and a glove. So maybe they're counting the 4 attachments and these 2 as 6. That seems to be a bit of a stretch. So you have multiple attachments that come off. Like you have this one that comes off here. This is the grater, and it's a pretty fine grater, but I'll get in that later. This one will make julienne cuts. Then you have 2 slicers. You have thin slicer and a thick slicer. This thin one looks like just kind of like 3 potato peelers. You also have this brush and a protective glove. It came in a pretty nondescript box that says multi-slicer. I paid about 20 bucks for this on Amazon. Now there's a bunch of listings on Amazon that look exactly like this, but this one had the most ratings, so I went with this one. Most reviews are pretty good, although some people said it was kind of cheap or that it broke. To attach a blade, you just hook it over there and snap it in place. It goes over the bottom. You just snap it in place, and there we go. All right, so the details of this are that it is made of stainless steel. It has 4 blades. The thin slicer right here, which looks kind of like 3 potato peelers. This looks like a mandolin blade, but they call it the thick slicer. They have a grater, and this one is for julienne cuts. Now, instead of the usual hand guard, they just give you this protective glove, which I guess I'll wear. I do have a video where I review some of these uncuttable gloves, so check that out if you haven't seen it yet. So let's get started with the first test. Since I've got the thin slicer on here, let's try that out first. I guess I'll put their glove on, maybe make this official here. There we go. All right, I'm official now. All right, so let's try a cucumber first. Now, on the demonstrations they showed, they were using the cucumber up and down, so I'm going to kind of imitate their motion here. Well, I went across 3 of them and I got 1.5 cuts. Let's try a little more aggressive action here. That feels kind of awkward. I've done a lot of slicers on my day, and this one feels very awkward. I'll show you from the back what we're doing here. I mean, it's working. It feels very awkward, but it is working. Look at it, I got some slices here. I'm kind of torn because it feels awkward to use, but the results aren't really that bad. They're not great, but they're not bad. So one of the most impressive demonstrations that I saw was red cabbage, so let's try that out. They had the thin slicer on there, and they were kind of just running the cabbage quickly across there, and it was doing an amazing job. Let's see how amazing it really is. Oh, this is working pretty good. It's a little bit awkward still, but it's not bad. Check this out. I don't know if I can get the speed that he had in the demonstration. Oh, maybe I do. Oh, yeah, not bad. Oh, I'm kind of feeling the red cabbage, honestly. That's actually pretty good. Look at this, not bad at all. They were doing the same thing with the potato. Let's try that. See if we can keep going. So I feel like I'm getting better at this. Nah, potato's awkward. It is awkward. It's working, but it feels like it's wanting to stop every time I go across those blades. I've had better luck with other potato slicers, but the red cabbage was good, so far I'm kind of on the fence about this one. Now in their demonstration, they showed a carrot going lengthwise across the thin slicer. Let's try that out. This seems very treacherous. My fingers are just right next to those blades. Now this glove might help, but I would rather almost have one of those guards instead. Well, let's see what we got. Now on the carrot, they were only going one way. So they're just like this. Just across the blade. This feels very unsafe. I mean, they do provide the glove, but I still don't feel very safe here. But on the other hand, the slices are pretty nice. Let me try that cucumber one more time. I'm going to try holding it up. The other time I had it down, I'm going to try holding it up like the others. Cucumber, take 2. It's pretty good. I mean, this one is actually easier than the potato. Holding it up is actually easier than putting it straight down on the plate. So I don't know. It's not bad. I've had better, I've had worse. So here's what we got. The carrots. Well, I felt very dangerous doing them, but it's an interesting shape. Looks kind of nice. Potato slices, not particularly uniform. A lot of them aren't full slices. They're very thin. Same with the cucumber, but the shredded, the red cabbage came out great. So kind of a mixed bag here. Overall, I think not too bad. You know, it really could be worse. I mean, I feel like I would rather have one of those guards than this glove. But overall, so far, the first blade, not terrible. All right, let's switch blades now and try the thick slicer. So all you have to do is press this tab outward. Comes right off. Hook the blade on the bottom, press it on there, and we are good to go. I've only got a couple of things I think will work on the thick slice, so let's try the potato now. Now sometimes on the demonstrations they were showing it downward on a plate like that, and they have a foot like right there to account for that. Sometimes they showed it being held off the plate. I find that easier, so I'm gonna keep doing that. So let's try the potato on the thick slicer now. Okay, you only go one direction. Let's see, it doesn't feel too bad. This feels more solid, this feels better. I've had slicers like this before, and I would say it's kind of on par with those. They're still not particularly thick. I mean, I would think in some realms this would be considered a thin slice, but you can't adjust the thickness, so you're pretty much stuck with that as your thickest slice here. Try a couple more. You know, again, they're not perfect, they're not uniform, and they're pretty thin, but it does work. Let's try a cucumber now. I'll go this way. Oh no, now cucumber feels pretty good. These cucumbers are just gliding out of there. Here's the back side of it. Now this one I actually kind of like. I'm speeding through this cucumber. Now this, see, that's a great thickness for a cucumber. This would be nice on a salad. I actually am pretty happy with the cucumber slice. The potatoes not as much. That's an ideal cucumber thickness in my opinion. Potatoes, I could go thicker on some of these. Not bad, but I certainly have a better potato slicer than that. So I'd probably use it for cucumbers, not for potatoes. Let me try this supposed thick slicer on some cheese and see what we got here. Will it work? Oh yeah, it's working. Let's see, I'm not sure what the end result is yet, but let's see. It definitely takes some force. And it kind of broke off there. Let's see. I don't know. It's a bit ragged, kind of thin. These are supposed to be thick slices. That's kind of thin to me. Let's swap out to the grater now. So we're going to pop off the thick slicer. And we're going to attach the grater now. Now this is a very fine grater. Now look how much more coarse this Chefin grater I have is. Much coarser. It's even coarser than the O grate. By the way, this is a fantastic grater. If you haven't tried it yet, check out my video for that as well. But let's try a couple things for the grater and see what we got here. All right, first let me try grating this carrot. Again, this is a very fine grater. Let's see what we got. I'm going both directions, but you can only grate downward. But it seems easier just to leave it in place. That's a very fine grater. And I feel like I'm making a mess here too. That's almost too grated. It's almost like a zester at that point, like carrot zest. Just for some comparison's sake, let me show you a carrot with the O grate. Now normally I would have this over a container, but I'm gonna hold it up just so you can see it better. You just spin in a circle like this. It's very quick, very quick. I wasn't a big fan of the carrot grating, but let's try some cheese and see how that goes. Now they do show kind of a cheddar cheese block being grated in the demonstrations. All right, so it glides across it pretty easy. Let's see what we got on the other side. That's pretty fine, but not terrible really. Let's keep going. Now pushing it across there, it takes a little bit of work. It's about a standard grater. I wouldn't say anything more difficult than regular graters. Let's try a different grater now. Let's try this one from Chefin and see what we got. This one is a little bit easier to actually move the cheese across, and it's a much coarser end result. So there is that's with the multifunction slicer, and this is with a standard grater. Much different. There's certainly a place for this, so it's not bad. It'd be nice if they had another grating option besides just the fine one, but I guess for what it is, it's not bad. All right, let's swap this out now. Pop this off. Put the Julienne blade on there now. So let's try that for a carrot and see how that goes. Just try a couple passes here. Oh wow, hold on. Once again, it feels awkward to hold that way. It's almost easier to hold upright. All right, well, I'm getting some cuts here. I'm getting some. Let me kind of go through here a bit and see what we got. I'm getting some kind of flying around, but it is working. It seems kind of slow. Like I feel like I should be further along in this carrot than I am. But let's take a look at what we got here. I'm not sure what the official definition of a Julienne cut is, but this seems like it's too small for me. Maybe not, but it does seem pretty fine. It does work, but it's just kind of slow. It seems like these should be maybe a tad bigger, because these are a little bit smaller than I expected. All right, so I guess that's it. Let's recap these 4 blades here. Now, the thin slicer, I think, did pretty well. It took a little bit of getting used to, but after getting the hang of it, it's actually pretty good. The end results were pretty acceptable, although the carrot felt very treacherous. The red cabbage was by far the most impressive one, which is why they probably used in their demonstration, because that's the best one. The cucumber's thin, maybe too thin. The potatoes were a little bit uneven, but it does work. The thick slicer really isn't that thick. I've had much thicker slices on other slicing devices. I wish it was adjustable, because to me it seems like it should be a little bit thicker. The grater is way too fine for a lot of uses. If you need fine grating, that's good for that, but otherwise it's too fine. And the Julienne blade seems like it's a little bit too small as well. It does work, but to me it should be a little bit bigger. I think it's a pretty good tool. It probably doesn't quite live up to the advertising hype, but as far as shredding red cabbage, it's great for that. The rest of them, I'm kind of on the fence. But if you've tried this or something like it, tell me what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.